Welcome, champion. How do you do? Greetings to you, my beautiful listeners and handsome audience. Always remember, life is best. In every situation, in every circumstance, always choose life. Life is best. Class tests, the mother of all assessments. Class tests, the mother of all assessments. It is a norm that most teachers give welcome tests on resumption day. Now, welcome test is class tests. Welcome test happens in the first week of school. That means the opening week of school. Welcome test happens. Now, usually, welcome test happens with or without a scheduled timetable. In some schools, there is a timetable for welcome test. In other schools, there is no scheduled timetable for welcome test. Welcome test depends on the subject teacher to determine when exactly he or she wants to conduct his or her subject welcome test. Now, welcome test is designed to ensure that students have actually been with their books during the holiday. That's why it's called welcome test. Now let's move on. Class tests can come announced or unannounced. Class tests can come announced or unannounced. Now, let me give you an example of a class test. Just imagine let's give you an example is your mathematics teacher coming to the class and saying, everyone take a sheet of paper number 1. That is what a class test. Or he or she, let's just imagine your science teacher finishes teaching respiration and he says or she says, tear a sheet of paper, you are having a test. Now, class test can come announced and it can come unannounced. When it is unannounced, it is called impromptu test. That means, impromptu test means a lot of students are not aware and are not prepared. Now, class tests are usually 5 or 10 marks. Class test is where your self-assessment as a student should start from. Now, initially I've talked about self-assessment. Self-assessment is when you, as a student, you sit down and you evaluate yourself. You are very true to yourself, right? So, usually when you do self-assessment, it should start with what? Class tests. Now, class tests are usually recorded or not recorded. This decision again depends on the subject teacher. Now, the class test, a subject teacher has all the authority over class test. He or she determines when the class test would hold. He or she determines the marks allocated for the class test. He or she depends if that class test is to be recorded or not. Now the question is, as a student, how do you prepare for class tests? Whether it is announced or unannounced. How do you prepare for what? Class test? Whether it is announced or not announced. Now, the first, always read your school notes. Always. It's not an option. I did not say you might. I said always read your school notes. Next, always listen to your subject teachers. This will help you in the case of an unannounced test. Now, it is a welcome test on the first week of school. Now, when it happens third week or second week or fourth week or fifth week or sixth week, or the case may be, it becomes what? A class announced or unannounced, right? Always listen to your teacher. When you're a good listener, even if it's an unannounced or impromptu test, you will be what? You are still prepared. You will be confident to what? You have something to write down. Do you understand? So the first is always read your school notes. The next is always what? Listen to your subject teacher. This will help you in the case of what? Of an unannounced test. Always engage in constant self-study and be prepared. Now, self-study implies simply, as a student you should have a study timetable. Now, a self-study means you have constantly engaged your scheduled timetable, right? Your reading timetable or your study timetable at home. You have constantly been reading, so and you are ready. So no matter how impromptu the test is, no matter how announced the test is, you are always ready. So that's why as a student you should always engage in constant self-study and be ready, right? And the next is never depend on any of your classmates or peers for jobs, because that's a lot of students' weakness. What do? They start depending on their classmates. She will read now. That boy will read. What's that? Alfred will study now. Alfred is always reading. So instead of them for them to prepare, they are depending on their classmates or their class peers for jobs. So that will not motivate them to take their book to read. It will not motivate them to engage in self-study. Now, quickly, I want to sell this market. Special announcement. Now, get 10% or more cashback when you shop online from your favorite online stores. Now, it is very simple, easy to do that. Just kindly click on the link in the description of today's session to start shopping, right? Just kindly click. It is easy. Just as you listen, just go to the description, click on the link and to start shopping. You can, there are a lot of variety of items you can shop from. Back to school kits, shoes, bags. Just check out your favorite online store. Whatever you want to shop is on that online store, right? So thank you as you do so. Now let's proceed. Now to wrap it up, class test is where your success or failure starts as a student. So if you take your class test very seriously, you become more successful as a student. If you fail your class test, it calls for worry, it calls for concerns. That means you are actually not doing the right thing as a student. Now, class test will determine your grades at the end of each term. You think that 5 marks that you have failed, that you think your teacher will not work, or your teacher to be just class test, it's not 5 marks. That 5 marks can determine if you score an A in a subject or you score a B in a subject. That 5 marks that can make you promote or it can make you repeat. So do not underrate class test. Now the big question here is, as a student, do you now know the importance of class test? Do you now see reasons to change your mindset towards class test? Now share your thoughts in the comment section, right? Comment, leave us with your thoughts and all of that. And if you have an addition or subtraction to what is needed in today's session, please do that in the comment section, right? Now, finally, let me make this special announcement. You can now become a member of our community by it's just easy. You can become a member of our you can become a member of our community. Now, the Life is Best community, right? By just clicking the link in the description of today's session. It's that simple, very easy. Just click the link. Now, what do you get to gain as a student? Free private session, free monthly online event for all members, right? So like, share and subscribe. Remember, you are uniquely made. Thank you. Bye bye.